If you'd like to do $100,000 a day on a white hat brand that builds 9 figures worth of enterprise value so you can take nuclear meteoric exits, I'm going to show you what worked for me. Not saying my exit was nuclear, but I did have a little bit of exit on this thing. This is the campaign we made for Mindvalley. This is my first VSL that blew up at Mindvalley. It's The Boy with the Broken Brain by Jim Quick. And I'm going to do a quick case study breakdown in this video to show you exactly how we created this thing and how you can create something like this. If you have an expert who has a world-class story and you have world-class products, this is exactly how I did it at Mindvalley to make my first banging campaign. I'm gonna run through the whole story here. First, let's start out with some proof. I'm really excited, I'm really proud of this one because if you search brain in the last 2 years on a video on Facebook, we're literally the biggest. My VSL is the biggest brain VSL on the planet, which I'm very proud of, because I used to run Brain a few years ago. It's very proud to have this, do this for a super memory. 30 million views on this specific variation, 100,000 likes. This is a 46-minute VSL in the Facebook feed. Would you believe that? And look at the comments. I mean, people are just tagging each other, but people like this stuff. It's a remarkable story. You can tell the comments are nice, positive, legitimate stuff here. We're doing God's work for this. Basically, when I was doing this, I would imagine myself as an angel flying down to earth and dropping off life-changing ads to people. Here's another variation. This one's got about 6 million views. This is one of the many YouTube variations that we shot. This thing has hundreds of millions of views and has done a boatload of revenue. A whole lot of revenue. If just one VSL like this can completely turn your whole entire business around. So let's go into it, right? When you first start creating a VSL like this and you find an authority figure, by the way, when you're doing VSLs at the highest level, you have to find experts, right? That one of my favorite quotes is, those who teach are often those who need it the most. So anybody who is out there putting out epic content or has a desire to teach typically has an amazing story. So when I got to Mindvalley, the first thing that I did was, I had to convince them that running 40-minute VSLs was a good idea, but they were open for anything because their kind of webinar format wasn't really working any well. So yeah, if you're like, I'm going to run a 40-minute ad in the feed, nobody's ever going to watch that. Yeah, they actually do watch it. You want to run longer VSLs when you're running a higher ticket product, and you can see by this thing, we were running the ad straight to a page like this, $3.99 a year or a monthly. So looks like they changed it to $50 a month. Before it was like $70 a month. So that's the flow, right? Straight to there, bing, bada, boom, right? So how do you do it? How do you make one of these things? Well, the first thing that we do is, you guys remember the VSL Bible. I think it's not here. It's right here. You remember the VSL Bible. The first thing that we want to do is we want to know, is this going to be a nightmare story? Because we're going to assemble this guy's puzzle piece. To make dope VSLs, you have to start with a lot of epic formulas in your back pocket. You have to study everything about the author and their story and their mechanism. And then you have to figure out what we want to do to rewrite it, which angle we want to go to recreate this thing. And then you have to connect all the dots, write the pieces, make it all nice and beautiful, and then shoot the thing. So the first thing that happened was, I got to go on YouTube and you got to study everything about it, right? So if you have an author, you got to go in and you got to watch all of their videos. I like to make like my beginning VSL document. I call this the greatest VSL of all time. This is the VSL script that I wrote here, 44 pages long, to make this one work. You can see chunked down into little sections, just like John Benson taught me years ago. So I start watching, and I want you to start watching, if you have an author, everything that they have. And when he mentions a benefit, like if he says this is the benefit, I just type the benefit in here. So I just start coming up with a list of physical benefits, emotional benefits, the problems, the physical problems, the credibility that he has, any big ideas that he have. I just start putting it all in here, and I start to assemble the pieces of the puzzle. And the interesting thing is, when I watched all this stuff about Jim Quick, he's got this crazy story about how he was basically hit in the head as a kid and basically became retarded. Essentially, that was the core idea, right? His brain wouldn't work any well. And I just would watch endless counts. Like, he's got 50-minute videos. He had a webinar on Mindvalley that was an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm just watching all of this and breaking it down and organizing everything. I like to have a little Notion page inside of here, right? So I just have like a journal log where I'm just journaling everything that I'm doing every day. I wake up and I take my notes and I put it in here. So I just start to collect a deep piece of research on everything I can think about with Superbrain for this example. And as I'm beginning to study this thing, I'm starting to see, again, the core question we're asking is this a nightmare story? Is this a conspiracy story where somebody's doing some shady stuff or whatever? Or is this a scientific breakthrough? Is there some new math or science that was invented? Because they're all different VSL formulas you can find in the VSL Bible. This is what I think is the best story formula for a tear-jerking disaster. This one's for conspiracies, and then this one down here is for the scientific breakthroughs, right? This one talks about there's a new root cause of the problem at the beginning. This one talks about some crazy, terrible thing that happened at the beginning. And this one talks about how somebody is ripping people off. That's kind of the core idea, conspiracy, a solid conspiracy. So as I'm watching this thing, I see he's got this crazy story. And you got to think about this when you're using with your authors. What is your author's story? Were they pissed off by somebody big? Were they hit on the head with a rock and have some nightmare story happen? Or are they a scientist that made some crazy breakthrough, right? We got to figure that out. In our case, it was the tear-jerking disaster. So if you were to put the tear-jerking disaster side by side, right? Once I know, hey, I want to roll with this. This is a nightmare tear-jerking disaster. Look how the formula goes, right? Disaster happens, miracle helps, new problem appears, the problem the product solves, emotional bonding, authority figure shows up, authority figure wants to help, he has this higher calling, he tests it out, and it works like crazy, he puts it into a product, and this guy tries it out for 7 days, and boom, time to go out and buy that stuff today. That's the high-level formula of this whole thing. So let's look at the Superbrain one. Tear-jerking disaster. They called him with the boy with the broken brain. At 5 years old, he cracked his skull. The first two sentences, hardcore drama in the first two sentences, right? Then a miracle happens. Then a new problem appears. The one with the product solves. Emotional bonding, right? Authority figure steps up, has a bigger life, right? Explains what's going on here. Shows them the root solution. You could actually fix this whole thing. And Jim Quick's life transformed before his eyes. He puts it to the test. He actually works with the X-Men. It's a beautiful story because his dream was like to find the X-Men, and then he actually ends up helping the X-Men later in the future, which is crazy. So boom, 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 boom. That's the 7-day test. So then he partners with Mind Valley, puts it into a course. Here's some information about it. La-di-da-di-da. Long piece about the information. And then we go into a standard price drop that we had for Mind Valley, which is the price drop, introducing the membership, throwing a money-back guarantee. You can get it all in one thing. Scarcity. Make today the day your life turn around. And then a classic, you have two options from here. You're going to suck or your life's going to be amazing. Don't miss this opportunity. We just want to help you change your life. Take action today. So that is the formula on how we kind of picked it up. So when you're writing this thing, right, I like to do one of these. So before you have a script, obviously hindsight's 2020, how this thing would go, right? Before you have the script, I like to just draw it out, right? Because you're going to be doing all this research. You're going to have to studying your authority figure, studying all this stuff. But when you have an authority figure as an epic story, put it in a format like this. Take a winning format and organize it into this. This is classic hero's journey stuff that is never going to expire. It's never going to expire, ever. No one will ever get used. Everybody loves a tear-jerking disaster. They cannot look away with it, right? Tear-jerking disaster, miracle happens, problem solved, emotional. You got to make them cry before they buy. Got to have the emotions in there. Sometimes all I could do is cry. Literally have a lot of, what was my emotional one right here? Oh, it's this one. Bing bada boom. He was alone, right? He tried to go to the school to see the X-Men. Turns out, and he wanted to find his friends, but turns out the school never existed, and the boy with the broken brain was alone. Ooh, the heart wrencher right there. Bam. Love it. Banger. So, core of it, you're going to research all of their information. And I like to map this out on a document. I just go step by step, boom, boom, boom. After you gather all of these pieces from researching everything about them, and you're digging, by the way, the top secret trick, the Silva VSL, the biggest VSL that I ever had in my entire life. I did not know how to tell this story correctly. I literally bought the book, The Silva Ultramind System, which was a banger. And I went through the first chapter, which literally told the exact story that I told in the VSL. I just ripped it word for word. The story was already done. When you are working with expert people, their story is already complete. You do not have to be a gangster copywriter. You just have to connect the dots and keep it tight and rock solid to make the whole thing work. So here I am. I'm sitting there. You're getting all the information. Start connecting it. Nightmare, right? After cracking his skull as a kid, his brain didn't work. He struggled to learn the problem that your product solves. He's a regular guy. Something terrible happens, and now he has the problem your product solves. One day he hits a mentor who gives him the key. Jim reads a book a week. And then he realized his problem, here's the big idea, is that he's a slow learner with a slow brain. That was the whole thing. He's not dumb. He's just a slow learner. So he begins to learn how to learn. There's the big idea. Here's the root cause of the problem. He's a slow learner. The root solution is he's going to learn how to learn. You see how that makes sense? My brain isn't very smart. You're not dumb. You're just a slow learner. You're going to learn how to learn. You're going to have a fast brain. Boom. That's the root cause. That's like the kindergarten simple pitch, I like to call it, right? Kindergarten simple. He discovers a mental training program. His life explodes. He becomes the best brain coach in the world. He tested on a bunch of people. Their life changes. So he partners with Mindvalley, makes a course. Here's how it's going to change your life. Here's what's in the program. Money back guarantee. Buy that shit today. You see how that works? Step-by-step formula, step-by-step flow. This is what I want to do. I'm going to have all the resources below in the document below. I can't really teach you much more out of this. You can study this, see how it's broken down. When it comes to long VSLs, right? Long VSLs, it was just a high ticket product, right? So this part right here, right? If we go to the VSL right here, you can see the beginning is Vishen sitting down in a beautiful setup. We like to use very professional backdrops because Mindvalley is a sick brand. And if you want to build a sick brand, you got to go a little extra on having some cool standout stuff. This is what really makes it look like you stand out. So he's reading a teleprompter. The script's on the teleprompter. We got some classic B-roll. The B-roll happens to look just like the authority figure, which was really cool. It looks like Jim Quick. And then this is a scene that we took out of the masterclass. So we actually just shot it's literally just a 6-minute VSL, whatever. The VSL is 6 minutes. And then I just took the copy, and I tested 100 variations of this. You're going to have to test a crap load, right? Because I didn't know if I wanted it short or whatever. I tried an hour, 20-minute long. I tried 15-minute long. This 47-minute long one is what worked the best, right? And I just took, looks like you have a little piece right here, right? Where he tells this story with the X-Men, which is cool, and then he jumps back in, and then he gives you a little bit of information, and then here they are sitting down talking about everything they wanted with the Vision Brain product. And then this is a close that we finished at the end after we figured out how to make closes for subscription stuff. So that's the core idea on how it worked. The core VSL and what we actually shot was only basically what's highlighted in yellow here. We just wrote this in Vision's house. This was just stuff I copy pasted, which is the X-Men story. So some things don't even need to be reshot. You don't even need to reshoot everything. Just take the pieces and see if they plug in together, right? I like to use Descript to copy and paste stuff around. Really awesome tool, Descript. And then you go to your VSL Bible, you take the formula, you follow the formula step by step, and bing, bada, boom, you got yourself a banger. So this is the greatest super brain ad of all time. So proud of this one. So proud of this one. Which one's this one?
Why are some people blessed?
Oh, this is my other VSL. Okay, boom. That's crazy. And then this is my other VSL too. And then this is the other super brain one right here, I think. Yeah, okay.
What's the first thing you...
Yeah, we made some bangers here. There's a lot of bangers. There's another super brain one. So this thing's got hundreds of millions of views across the board. Super proud of it. But now it's yours. So please use this responsibly. Use this if you have an expert who needs help telling your story. You can take epic deals. Again, I like to do percentage of revenue deals. So if I make, this is how I earn autopilot income from Mindvalley, is they pay me every time they want to use this. Super easy. So you can take revenue deals. I like to charge 5% of revenue, and then equity if I earn specific marks that I'm allowed to resell back to them. Here's a trick on equity is make sure you put in the contract that you're allowed to resell it back to them because you don't really want to wait until they decide to sell it. Also, if they don't decide to sell it, then your equity is worth nothing. So you don't actually want equity. What you want is a bonus. A bonus is better. Like if you hit this sort of revenue, you get a bonus. That's kind of a dope deal that I would do. But if you want something even simpler than revenue, I actually think that a percentage of spend is even easier, because then you can just be inside of the Facebook and the YouTube account, and your accounting is really easy, because you either have to be inside of their revenue, which a lot of people don't want to give you, or you're going to be inside of their spend, which is really easy because you can easily track which ad sets are yours and you can do your own accounting. So I actually think the percentage of spend is really good. So there's the big ideas. Hope you guys love it. Use this responsibly. Use this to change the world. Please just sell stuff that changes people's lives and changes the world on a huge level. See you guys later. Peace.